Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 351. And before I forget, I want to wish everybody in America a happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a good holiday. But we're going to get into this episode. And this episode is on the top FMA organizations and factions. And I do have a list of criteria we're going to go over. And so a couple of you asked why. Well, maybe if somebody wants to join in a different style or that, they would have to make an educated decision based on the criteria and some of the organizations that are being mentioned and that were listed from the poll. So that's basically it, why we're going to do that. And hopefully this will be a fun episode. I have Paulo Rubu who's going to be joining me. He'll definitely give his 2 cents and all that. And so without further ado, he's laughing in the background. You can't hear him, but I can. So without further ado, and again, I much appreciate him doing this. He's a busy guy, and it's always nice to have him around here and give his perspective. So, and we got 11 people. Yes, folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. And again, folks, someone asked, what about fake? What about GM Pogie's organization? And again, he refused. He did not want to be listed with other organizations. He is just so far beyond that. So we tried.
Fake Filipino Arnis Kali Eskrima.
All right, and here he is again. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. So, what do you have to say before we start itemizing some of these organizations and speaking on behalf of
them? Okay. I don't know, Dean. What I wanted to say was that people are like, why do this? And whenever people do stuff, there are other people who aren't doing stuff who want to complain about the people doing stuff. So listen, I want to be straightforward with you. Dean and I are about to get in a conversation about what we feel are the best factions or organizations out there. Naturally, these are going to be based on our experiences. And take that with a grain of salt and take that for what it's worth. You know what I mean? Like, so there's going to be people that are going to be left out and they're going to be like, there's a guy out there already crying about it. Why even do it? Well, for an episode of FMA Discussion, for the purposes of discussion. So I got to see Dean's sexy face and we get to have a conversation. That's all it is, guys. This is biased, right? And again, it's called FMA Discussion. And if we don't have discussion, then what do we got? So I just want to start with that because inevitably there are going to be people who are going to be like, well, what about this? Or they're going to be like, well, how come you put that group and not that group? And I love it all. Like, it's all valuable, right? But I think there is I don't know. Sometimes it just rubs me the wrong way. Doesn't it rub you the wrong way sometimes?
Yeah, it does. It's frustrating. I mean, you try to do a good thing. You try to just bring some attention to different organizations, what they're doing well, and you try to educate the community. That, again, what I mentioned, when the mentioning leading up to you bringing you on is that, maybe for those folks who might want to join or explore other styles and all that, at least they can kind of look at this episode and hear who was mentioned and why and make an educated decision. It's kind of sad that we're at this point in time with social media that discord like this and dialogue sometimes is frowned upon by some folks when really it should be looked at. Wow, hey man, they're talking about this. This is fantastic. But
you know what else it could be too, Dean? And I'm very guilty of this, right? On my social media accounts is that sometimes the negative commentary feels disproportionately bigger than the positive commentary. So that top 100 list we did, overwhelmingly positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes I think about that, like, we can't please everybody. There's always going to be whiners and complainers out there. But at the end of the day, I want to be mindful that maybe we're paying too much attention to the negativity where the response was overwhelmingly positive. So we can get to it, I think.
Yeah, and I'm probably that definitely affects me more than you. Like, you're like, I actually admire, like, you're just like, so where I kind of, not by choice, internalize it a little more. Not that I want to. It's just mental genetics.
I don't want to give him the satisfaction, but I do
Yeah.
cry myself to sleep a lot, and
Oh my
I
gosh.
find myself in the fetal position
Do you
because of
really?
the opinions of people I don't know nor care about.
Do the kids like stomp on you while you're in that fetal position? I mean,
Oh yeah, they throw overripe grapes. That's random. That's really random. Look at all the comments already. And
all right. Yeah,
Guru
I just want
June
to give a quick
Occidental, he's like
hello to everybody.
Belgium.
Yeah, we got
Belgium. Come on, bro. That's a
two.
stab. You know that, right?
Yeah, we got.
He wrote Belgium with a Belgian flag because Canada's for the first time in 31 years has made it to the World Cup, and our first match is against a heavy favorite, Belgium.
Oh, I didn't know Belgium was that good. Well, okay. I heard Germany is probably good, but all right. But we got folks. We got Terry. We got Eric.
Belgian, German, same. French,
Yeah,
they're all the same.
they're all the same. We call them an old one.
Just start by offending people. I'm just joking.
We got Robert Small. We got, of course, Maestro June. We got, oh my gosh, they're all in here. And
all these unemployed people are in the house.
Yeah, we got Luke. We got Tom, Jimmy Morris, Doran. We got Mark Stewart.
Hello from France.
Man from Kiro. Love that guy.
Yeah, awesome. There's nothing like the live show. So if you're watching this not live, it's not the same. But it's 1/5 as awesome.
So for sake of simplicity, I kind of itemized them alphabetical order. I know that's going to probably throw some people off, but first and foremost, now, folks, if you're watching this, it is very likely that some of the folks that were named in the top 100 also run very good organizations, so their names are going to be repeated. You know, so take that.
So yeah, take it. So Dean,
it just makes sense, right?
How about this? Like you're gonna list your list off. You're gonna give your reasoning, and then I'll tell you whether or not I've heard of it or what my impression of them might be.
And if I missed anybody that you had that somebody mentioned on your, I mean, by all means, please jump in. So
yeah, I got a bunch, and I posted it on my Facebook page.
Yeah,
and a bunch of people commented, but I wrote down some, not others, because I think there's going to be like redundancies and things like that. Oh, yeah. Crap. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. So what are we calling this again? This is the top or the
top
best
FMA organizations and why. So we're going to identify them and give the why to why we feel that they're kind of top notch in what they're doing. Based on, and folks, here is a criteria. I almost forgot that. So this is a criteria that I kind of came up with. If you feel I'm missing something, please put it in the comments section. So we have, they inspire you. Accountability, that's a big thing with me, that your reps, they're accountable, their behavior, especially on social media these days. They're progressive. They involve reputation, leadership, quality, curriculum, and promotion. If you're doing kids, everybody knows that's kind of special with me. If how are these arts going to continue to survive and propagate if we're not bringing to the youth, right? So that resonates with me. First one, and
size. Size matters to me. Size matters.
Size matters to you, and I think GM Pope, if I'm not mistaken, but
size matters.
Yes. So Abenico Tres Puntas, GM Renee Thompson. I mean, what he's doing over there with the kids, man, starting up, getting them involved. I just think what he's doing is just fantastic. Matter of fact, you were part of the one of the first raffles we did. You were involved with that huge knife, that crazy stuff that you.
We did good. He was able to buy a lot of equipment for those
huge
kiddos.
Huge. Exactly. And the reason why we did, because I just thought what he was doing over there was just so magnificent and terrific for those kids. So right there.
Abanico Tres Puntas, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, all right. Noted on that one. Next, Amok. So, Tom doesn't really like the martial arts community. He doesn't really, even though he will fully admit the system I'm a trainer in, that it is heavily influenced by Filipino knife work. He does call it amok. And the reason why I'm choosing him is everything I pretty much in this list, with the exception of kids and size, is pretty much there. Constantly evolving, accountability. Matter of fact, we as reps, we are now allowed to make fun of, say anything negative about other organizations or practitioners. If we do, we get spoken to and potentially kicked out. So I love the accountability. I generally like the smaller groups. If you notice, I'm not part of any huge things. Not to say anything bad, but because why? I like the accountability, and I like that
Yeah.
interaction with the instructor, where things get so big, you have to go through three people to get the person, and unfortunately, that just doesn't work for me. So Tom Sotis, Amok. What do you?
Yeah, I want to
Tom.
address something real quick about what you said there. When you're like, he doesn't really like the martial arts world. So here, I was speaking with somebody about MBC, Martial Blade Concepts, Michael Janich. So
Yeah.
I started doing a little bit of digging. I really liked his presentation style, and I imagine Tom Sotis is the same way. I just think, okay, and don't take this the wrong way, because a lot of the people that I gravitate towards do this as well.
Mm.
And sometimes the term repackaging gets a really, really bad reputation. But they repackage Filipino martial arts concepts and other martial arts concepts very, very well. And I think repackaging or representing is a really, really good thing, because not everybody resonates with, traditional terminology, traditional processes. But if we really think about concepts and principles and commonalities, right, those things existing almost universally through all bladed arts and different martial arts, the ability of an instructor to repackage concepts in ways that resonate to a different set or group of people, that's such a good thing, and that's such a key thing. So I was watching some of Michael Janich's material, and I'm like, oh, I know, that's the Palo Suit drill from PT Tertia, and this is very similar to Sombrada. This is very similar to Sabayan. So when you repackage something really well, a big part of that is also like you teach it better or more appropriate to certain groups, right? May not be pure. There could be, as part of your criteria there could be an evolution to it. And a part of that evolution could simply be representing concepts into terminology, language, processes, and methodologies that make more sense to a different group of people. So I totally get, because sometimes when you say, like, Tom Sotis doesn't really like the martial arts community, I bet he does. I bet just like the old guys, the
Yeah.
old dogs, the old school, they're just tired of the bullshit.
Well,
And I
that's
get it.
really what it is. He's just
Yeah.
it's really that he kind of just frustrated and tired of exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, much to your point though. But yeah, Mike Janik, I've heard much good stuff about him in the
Janich,
system.
yeah.
Yeah.
Guru Joe Apostol agrees. Yeah, repackaging is
Who's that? That fluorescent guy. Where's those colors?
repurposing, repackaging. Again, sometimes they get a bad, connotations attached to them, but it's a good thing.
If they do it well and they do it with integrity and all that, you have
Yeah.
some of these guys. I'm not going to mention a name that kind of, and some of them are just poorly done and they don't give the credit, or it's just poorly packaged. And yeah, but
All right. So you got Abanico Traspuntas and Amok.
and I'm going to go right into the B's unless you have another A.
No, I'm just going to go through my list after you go through your list.
Okay. So Bakan, Dorian Sordo, Ricketts, Ray Galan kind of formed this here, and during its heyday, it was fantastic. And the reason why it was is it really was, and hopefully, gosh, Duran, please comment if I'm missing anything. He was in the comment section, but where different instructors would come in and they would teach something and all that, and it was kind of a melting pot where where the students that were part of this organization could really just get exposed to different arts. I mean, back in that time, like for instance, GM Tony Diego would come in and stuff like that. But really unique. Ray Galong, I think, is continuing it. Doran Sordo is, and
cool.
I think, unfortunately, not size, definitely not. However, though, the reputation was fantastic. I thought they were progressive in a very early time stage. The leadership was definitely there. The quality was there, and they had a great reputation. And sounds like the curriculum was really pretty neat. So
excellent.
Those guys.
Bakbakan, right? Or am I missing something, or is it Bakabakan? Bakbakan sounds like
Bakan. Yeah, I think.
I don't know. I just know like the term Bakbakan means like,
yeah,
pretty much to throw hands. So maybe that's what it's called. I don't know.
that's the only B I had. But so, folks, if you have somebody else with the B, I mean, please list it.
Yeah, like Balintawak, Tabuada, or maybe that's under Tabuada.
Oh, all right. I got a thumbs up from Duran, so I guess I didn't do too bad. And he said Dan Bronco. So, all right.
Cool.
I'm into the C's now. So, Kakoi Dose Paris. They're
Cool.
worldwide. Everybody that I met from there. Matter of fact, my JKD teacher and my first instructorship in JKD and FMA was through this fellow, and he's now heavily deep with them. He was under Pastillo, but Lalo in Mexico was under them. So everybody I talked to, I've met really great folks and leaders, and just they seem to be doing a really good job with the lineage and definitely evolving, as far as the Escrito and what have you. It seems to be accountability. These guys are far from jerk offs. I mean, they lead by example. So I had to include them. Yeah.
Cool.
Next, a couple of people mentioned this again, folks. If a couple groups were mentioned, by different people, and that, I mean, I definitely I took, I looked at the poll this time and kind of weighed heavily on it as far as distracting organizations that were mentioned more than once, and that is CSSD, Conceptual Arnis by Braun Frank. It's a knife system. He makes beautiful knives, but back to his system. It definitely, it's a worldwide. He's got folks, Europe, Israel, America. I can't speak on South America. Russia, he did some folks there. All that. Definitely progressive in where he's tapped into the crimpet and making sure it's lawfully what you're doing. He taps into that, which I thought was kind of neat. Nothing but good things. Looks like his reps reputable, conduct themselves well. So he made it.
I don't know any reps.
It's got a couple of America talk to now and then, and that Chad Bailey's camp. They come down. So,
by the way,
folks,
real quick, Barao Sugbo. A few people mentioned it to me, and I'm not mentioning Barao Sugbo because of what they said, but I do remember one time, I believe watching one of the founders do a extreme close quarters knife clinch fighting, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the faction is good because I have no idea, but I do like the concept, and I just want to say that before we continue on with CSSD.
No. Matter of fact, we interviewed
it just popped in my head.
Synesia, who runs that organization, and there was a great episode, and what it is their system solely is dedicated to the empty hand against knife. No, from my understand, and I hope my recollection is correct, no offensive material is, if I remember correctly. So I thought it was kind of unique just in that it was a system solely dedicated to that. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Good reputation. They got folks in Europe, in America here, so they should. I'm fine with them making it. DAV. I'm not sure what that means. So if somebody could help me out with that, it was kind of abbreviated when it was mentioned. But this is Dieter Noodle in Germany, huge organization. What he's doing in Germany, I guess the government really supports what he's doing. Schools, the whole 9 yards. This came up a few times. Matter of fact, I think if I recall correctly, I saw Paul's list in his thread as well as the thread I created in FMA discussion. So he came up a few times. Folks backed up what he posted and all that. I don't know much about it, to be honest. I know it's monitoring these. And I just know he's been a major impact in Germany as far as the spread of FMA in a big organization. So he's got to be doing something right there.
Yeah, that's important. Germany's the modern Arnis factions of, maybe they're not strictly modern Arnis. In Germany, they support a lot of other Filipino martial arts ambassadors that go there to travel, and their numbers are huge. So they definitely deserve huge credit, because size matters, guys. It's true.
That has definitely been established. Yeah. Oh, June, thank you.
Deutscher Arnis Verband.
Yeah,
Cool.
Verband. Okay,
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
Doran Sordo.
Next, the Campo, the grandson, Caballero, and Paulo Pagulini. I think they're doing a great job, man. They're getting online, they're getting folks, they're spreading the art. I know Paulo's been incredibly instrumental with them doing the whole online through the elementary, high school, college levels there. Great reputation. We had Paulo on, and he presented well. So they made the list for me.
Cool. So the Campo group of systems, or them specifically? Because I'm
Them
partial to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
There could
partial
be
to
others.
Estacada de Campo.
Yeah. I mean, folks, if there are others that I'm missing, please mention in there. But again, I'm going off what people gave me as far as feedback. Okay. I wanted to really make inclusive people's opinions this time. So.
Not me. Mine is supremely biased, bro. I'm just gonna be straight up. Wait till you see my list. You're trying to be all diplomatic. Mine is biased. That way I can speak directly to them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Dog Brothers, we gotta put them in there, man. I mean, with
100%.
The worldwide, I mean, what Mark Denny
they're on my list.
is just an aspect of genius. Not only is the fighters, but he also has the Dog Brothers Martial Arts Association. So you can actually teach a system while in conjunction being one of the fighters. And great guys. I was just at Beat the Cancer a couple weeks ago with a bunch of them. They're just down to earth, just great. And these are guys that don't whine and complain. Funny how the fighters don't do that.
Yeah, people who fight tend not to.
I wonder what the correlation could be. But
by the way, so because I have them on my list as well, I think even though they are related, the delineation between Dog Brothers Martial Arts and the Dog Brothers, I think it's an important distinction. And I think that's really, really smart, right? Because I think sometimes the Dog Brothers, they're comparatively small despite the awesome things that they do, because it does seem very intimidating, right? So I think the Dog Brothers Martial Arts side of it serves sort of as a softer landing and perhaps a smoother approach to the
segue
into the higher consciousness through harder contact philosophy, which I love.
Yeah, I think he's, again, no argument, anything you're saying. I think he's just done phenomenal. Yeah.
I would say they.
That's true. Eric Nels, Armin.
But absolutely. And personally speaking, I would include Tuhan Philip in there. I'm not sure if he's recognized as a founder, but maybe a founding member. But definitely, for me personally,
no, he was definitely there in the beginning, man. I mean, I'm sure if there was anybody else being picked, I would say him. Yeah, Eric O'Brien says Dean Franco gray sweatpants faction. What do you think?
I'm not sure if it's a faction or if it's more like
could be a movement.
It's definitely some kind of a movement. I definitely, whenever I see you in your gray pants, I sense a movement.
It's a movement, but a trendsetter.
Jeez. Okay. All righty. Let's move on.
Next, FCS. So that's Ray Dianaldo's organization. Definitely worldwide. I would say definitely on the bigger side. I think he's got reps in Europe, Asia, in the Philippines, South America,
Filipino combat systems.
America, Canada, if I'm not mistaken. So FCS, folks, Ray Dianaldo. Anything you want to?
Cool. Lamont Glass writes, in Dog Brothers Martial Arts pulls from multiple instructors' skill sets. If it isn't a one-man organization, though, it has been organized and driven by Punong Guru Mark Denny. Yeah, 1,000%.
The driving, it's like, I think the driving force or what.
Those Dog Brothers.
But yeah, again, Dog Brothers, man, top notch. Yeah, much respect for them. So, anything on FCS? Anything you want to say on
that? I think people know how I feel about FCS. I wear their stuff. if we're going to have a discussion about, some of the best factions out there, FCS is on my list because of the leadership of Tuhan Ray Dionaldo and how he crafts his senior students by example, and how much of a close-knit family vibe that organization has been able to maintain despite how big it is. 100% FCS is on that list. 100%.
Okay.
I would recommend FCS to anybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey.
Yeah. Except for those Florida guys. I'm just
Except for
kidding.
the Florida guys.
Or those Kentucky guys.
Actually, that's currently where he's living now, correct? Am I correct in that?
I believe so.
Okay.
No, that's an inside joke for two people that know I love them.
Next.
Just avoid Florida and Kentucky for FCS.
Fluoro Fighting Systems. That guy, Ray Fluoro. I just, I've been lucky to win something in his raffle. He donated some of his material. I look at his reps, his organization. I think there's just a lot of things I think he's doing. It's quality, obviously leadership, good reputation as far as him and his material. Yeah. Definitely progressive. And I want to just focus on this a bit, because if you look at GM Ray Fluoro, everybody, absolutely the KI background. But if you look at his KI, it has definitely evolved and progressed. So Ray Fluoro, not for me there. So your thoughts?
Yeah. I love the man. Like I certainly have developed an affinity for Ray Fluoro. But admittedly, from his end of things, the group is small or comparatively small.
Yeah, no, it's not huge. Right.
Yeah, and I think to some degree he wants it that way. But I think I certainly feel as if it could be, should be, and will be one day bigger than it is, because there's some good stuff in there. There's
100%. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, again, folks, he's really evolved. If you look at his KI, I'll leave it at that. Mike Fraser. Hey, Mike. What we get next? Anasano blend. I mean, where do we start?
Sure.
Where do we end?
Maybe we can leave it at that. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Seems pretty self-explanatory.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I will say this though, as far as faction is concerned, I'm not afraid to say it that the people who attained their instructorship back then is a different breed than the people who seem to be getting it now. Yeah. And now this is not a broad. I mean, this is a broad stroke. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. Yeah. But whenever I meet an old school Inasanto instructor like Sifu Kevin Seaman, Coach Greg Nelson, these guys are cut from a different cloth, man. Yeah. And they had to, and as far as I know, they had to travel a very different path to get there. And there are a lot of people who are awaiting Inasanto instructorship who are hardcore dudes, but because of the nature of the size of the organization right now, they may be overlooked. So that's all I have to say about that, I guess. And this is based on a lot of conversation and hands-on with people. It's a little bit different. And I think, since we're talking about factions, managing the growth of an organization is so critical. So critical. And it does require the involvement and the time investment of the figurehead to really craft their senior instructors and really be mindful about how an organization grows, because it isn't just about growth for the sake of growth, right? But then again, people love being at the foundational stages of something, right? It's just like when you discover a band when they're an indie band, and now they're
when they were in the bar scene still.
Exactly. Yeah. And then now that they're, a pop culture band, they'll be like, oh, it's not the same, man. So there's always going to be, it's inescapable to have those kinds of complaints. And things are going to be different as an organization grows, right? But I think, it's still important to be mindful if you're, a figurehead, or if you're even a representative, right? Like maybe you think you're doing a great job by
having all these study groups, but maybe you're neglecting quality control, then that can be an issue. So
Yeah, and that's come up, and just being an Anasano blend guy, and I could just tell you for absolute fact the parallel what you just said, far as that late '70s, '80s, early '80s, a different world, just a different guys. Like you look at Steve Grody, Burton, some of the folks that you mentioned, just different what they went through comparatively
these guys were
speaking.
killers, man. They
Yeah.
were fighters. Like
No,
they were doing karate tournaments on hardwood gym floors. They were stick fighting by duct taping pillows and crap, or using kendo
the Happy
equipment.
Hours group with the Dog
Oh, man.
Brothers, pre-Dog
So they just
Brothers
had to go
guys
through
would meet. Actually, I mean, but no fault of these guys coming down, coming out of there now. It's just got so big worldwide. Now, actually, to be even considered an instructor, you have to have somebody vouch for you and all that. So it just got that big. You know what I mean? So
which is fine.
Speaking of which, next, JKDU. So I know that sounds obviously JKD Unlimited, but I'm speaking in terms of Burton Richardson. Again, accountability. Like we're not allowed to just badmouth. We have to, code of conduct. We're repping him. He doesn't want to say any of that garbage on social media, just like a muck. And so again, I like these smaller systems because accountability is really big to me. To me, that speaks a lot on the founder of the organization and their value system. And that, again, reputation, leadership, and he has all these. He's actually doing some kids stuff now. Curriculum is great, definitely progressive and evolving. And he's inspired me. So so Burton Richardson. Anything you'd like to comment?
I like Burton.
I like Burton.
He's
a hard guy. How do you not like Burton?
Yeah, you guys kind of look alike. You guys got that same facial structure.
The same dark, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see you both running on a Hawaii beach, just in slow motion.
Just shirts off, running.
Well, since you offered, why not? Okay. I like Burton. I like him.
Yeah, it's hard not to. How do you not like Burton? Right? David was, yes, he wasn't a Santa guy before the Mako, as well as PTK. Yeah. All right. So Burton. Kiro, Guru Ramon, if you're here, say anything you want to jump in. But Kiro, in other words, the Manila group of KI, really, you have to get, they're pretty much worldwide. They're definitely in Europe, Asia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure about South America, definitely America, Canada. I think they've done a good job in spreading, GM Tony's, not his art. I mean, well, Tatang's art, but the representation of it, the interpretation of GM Tony. I think they've done a solid job of that. For everybody I talk to, when they get over there, they're treated incredibly well. I've heard nothing negative about when folks go over there. The hospitality is A+. Everybody that's gone there is extremely happy with the training in there.
That's typically the case. Even if there are disagreements online, you go to the Philippines and the Filipino hospitality is going to take over anything, any little disagreements you may have had online. Filipino hospitality is the thing. What I like about Cairo, and again, outside of all the things that you said, I think their branding is really good, and I see consistency in their training and as far as how often they post. Now, I do appreciate a good brand and how that brand is represented and the marketing of that brand, all super, super important. And again, just like, the term repackaging, sometimes branding and marketing have negative connotations to it, right? But that just means good messaging, good representation, and good, continuity and congruency across the organization, right? So marketing is messaging, whether or not, big or small, branding matters, messaging matters, how you come across matters. So,
they're doing it. You know what I mean? They're
absolutely.
I mean, they were really the ones. I mean, if you look at KI and how it was spread, I mean, it's really attributed to them because, I mean, Rick gets
Yeah.
moved to San Diego. It's kind of quiet out there. Unfortunately, passed away. Brandon and Bruce
Yeah.
wouldn't really do anything. Brandon is now, trying to bring up his father's organization back
Yeah.
up. But they were, if you look at it back then, besides the Canada group, they were kind of it. So much credit to them.
I want to say something real quick, Dean. Because sometimes we may be speaking positively about a particular group, and then inevitably someone is out there. We talk about accountability, and we talk about congruency in messaging, and then we're speaking positively about group X, and then somebody out there is going to have a problem with one of their members. They may have had a bad interaction with them, and so they may be like, that's not true, this guy was a dick to me when I tried to question him. There's going to be that. Like, there's no faction, no organization that is completely bulletproof. No organization escapes the Filipino martial arts gravitational pull unscathed of criticism and people saying bad things, right? So I just want to mention that, like, nobody, like the nicest guy in the world, you know what I mean, there's gonna be some guy out there who's like, wow, I know something you don't know about him.
Somebody's good.
So worth noting, right?
Right. But overall, though, if they're doing good stuff and the overall the feedback is positive,
right? And the opposite is true. Like, an organization can have a reputation for just being complete nutcases and dickheads, and then there's that anomaly in there who is just an absolute gem and a sweetheart. Exactly. So yeah,
fair enough.
Cool. Who you got next, hombre?
Cairo. All right. Who we got next? Who you just okay. All right. So somebody's gonna have to help me out here. I just saw the abbreviations KM. So this is Master Shelley Millspa organization. I think it's Ernesto's Cobaton, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully June, I'm sure, is familiar with Master Shelley's organization. I, however, am not really, but it did come up a few times. But again, it was abbreviated KM. So, but again, this was my choice. It was suggested.
Kapatiran Mandirigma. I know another KM worth putting in there is Kalimundo, Tuhon Kits organization in
who's that?
Kalimundo. That's Tuhon Kits organization.
Okay.
That's one of the original factions that conglomerated with the Pikiti Tursha Tactical Association. So there's a good reason why.
All right. So all right. So June. Okay. All right. Thank you. And June, if you want to just tell us if I'm correct in that it's Cobaton, if I'm correct.
No, Kapatiran Mandirigma is what that stands for.
Okay.
KM. KM. Oh
yeah, it's a couple. I just saw the abbreviated the initials. All right. So here I'm gonna let you talk about this guy because I've seen some of his stuff, and one of my students does train with James Keating and speaks very highly of him, likes it. But again, NBC, James Keating.
Martial Blade Concepts.
Sorry, not James Keating. Oh my God, Mike Jennett.
Mike Jennett.
I don't know why I said James Keating. Sorry, folks.
You're gonna get canceled, bro.
I know. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I got a buddy, Iron Tree, who speaks very highly of Michael Jannich. I've only ever met Michael once at Blade Show. Really good guy. And then, I started watching some of his videos and talk about somebody who repackages concepts in a way that's logical and concise and seems to have a process and a methodology. I would say MBC it definitely belongs there. Okay. Because a lot of again, we talk about concepts and principles that are universal, sound and logical, but sometimes they're misrepresented as magical, mystical, or just like unintelligently represented. So representing good concepts is a gift. It's a gift to the Filipino martial arts community. And I, from what I've seen, haven't personally trained with them, but a lot of people speak highly of him. People I trust, to include Tuhon Jared. I asked Tuhon Jared, like, what are his, impressions of Michael Jannich, and all positive things to say.
Good. All right.
Yeah. But again, for me, I've been for over a decade. I've sought out extraordinary instructors, and I've been able to pick out these extraordinary qualities even through the filter of a video. Sometimes somebody can be nervous or the camera work is crap. I'm able to penetrate through all of that and just really dissect. And so this is how I can speak with some degree of, credibility. There's so many people out there that just through conversation and analyzing their videos and then talking to their communities where I can pretty confidently recommend them. And so NBC would be one of them. NBC would be one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the same. Again, the student I mentioned that my student there that also trains with Michael. Covers a lot of stuff on like damage control. I mean, just like nothing but positive feedback. And this guy's a good guy, really rational, and his thought process as far as who he chooses to train with and so forth. So
I'm going to turn on some lights real quick.
Sure. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. Looks like it's just all comments. All right. Okay.
Alrighty.
How about the Gracies? How about those Gracies? All right. So, which leads us to now, a couple folks posted different modern niece organizations. And to be honest with you, even though I have interviewed a bunch of modern niece folks, doesn't mean I'm fluent in the different organizations. I'm familiar with Tim Hartman's and all that, but I'm going to assume this is kind of Modern Niece International. I'm going to guess there. And so this name, showed up a few times, I think maybe on yours as well as my thread and my post in FMA discussion. So Modern Niece as a whole will kind of go under Remy. So again, if you look at it, matter of fact, I think it's quoted, Modern Niece, if I'm not mistaken, has the most FMA practitioners status quo in the world. And that wouldn't surprise me. So obviously he spread the art, far beyond anybody else. And obviously the reputation, the leadership, aggressive, what he did with the traditional schools, getting it in there. The kids definitely, because again, the schools he got into were traditional. So then the kids kind of inspiration, definitely inspired people, leadership, quality, curriculum. So Remy, Modern Niece.
Got it. All of them.
I was gonna say that's another one like Dan Asano. Like, what do you not say?
Let them fight amongst each other.
You could just say Modern Niece and Remy and just move on, right?
I know. Be like, which
all right. Unless you got, about to go into the P's. Unless you got some, or you want to talk about yours after? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's even a couple of B's that. We'll talk about it afterwards.
All right.
Before the B, go ahead and P.
Okay.
Yeah.
This PTI organization, the cycle, which is referenced sometimes by folks as the encyclopedia, on Bill McGrath. Obviously, what really I admire about this organization is the accountability. Like, I don't see any of his reps acting like jerk-offs. There seems to be, that there's a kind of a code of conduct, which I like. Obviously, he's on the bigger end. I'm assuming, obviously, he's got reps in Europe. I know that. I'm not sure, but can't speak on South America, Canada for sure. Reputation, obviously, leadership, quality, curriculum. I mean, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he only makes two Hans nerds, so that's why they're all nice guys.
Two nerds? Two on nerds.
Yeah, all of their two Hans are nerds. I'm just kidding. No, but there's an element of truth to that, actually. Again, words have, carry power and meaning. What do I mean by nerds, right? I mean, people who are logical and intelligent and have their emotions under control, who are passionate about something, and who value methodology and process. So that's what I mean by that.
That's definitely an organization. Yeah. I mean, right?
Sounds like it, right?
Again, I just when you see, unfortunately, not to bring up bad subject, but when you see how some of the others act and all that, and I'll leave it at that. Then you look at PTI, and it's self-explanatory. Next, I'm going to let you speak on this because you're part of it, but I'm a fan from outside looking in. Actually, I shouldn't say outside looking in because I'm a member. I just have not gotten a chance to look at these videos, which reminds me of a question for you. You mentioned, I forget the name, but you mentioned somebody that a title that you can get somebody and they'll kind of assist you with the curriculum and walk you through.
Yeah, it's a gabai. Gabai is not a title; it just means guide. So
gabai. Okay.
Yeah, gabai or gabai.
How do I go about that?
You just email. So because you're a member of the Bikini University is this online curriculum, right? It's pretty awesome. I filmed a lot of it. No, but the way that they structured it is that because it's an online course, the way it's given to you, you get a chunk at the beginning and the rest is dripped, right? So you get a new video every week,
which has been what's occurring.
Yeah, so you actually get to train it out, but then you have a high level instructor within the organization to personally oversee your development through online correspondence. So you would do your, triangle footwork with this move and that move, and then you'd send it over to your gabai, and then they'll say, oh, your footwork sucks. You need to work on this, and that. So it's just, again, as far as accountability, I think that's as close as you can get to, an online representation of a system. It's not just like you buy the course and here's all the videos and you're kind of left alone. So.
Okay. So when I do get some time post January, because I'm slowing down, I could reach out to somebody. Okay. Is that
or just to oversee your overall progress. So we're talking about the PTTA, obviously, great organization. And I mean, I can speak all day about it, but then I'd be biased. I'm where I want to say PTK Hankilan. What I like about also is that when your organization decides to join the association, so PTTA, the A stands for association. So there are actually a buttload of different organizations under the umbrella of the PTTA. And a few of them make my list. So PTK Hankilan, Kalimundo, Red Desert Dogs Kali, Bushido Vustems. There's Blackbird Training Group. They're all somehow affiliated
with PTTA.
Okay. Yeah, it's an association, so they don't get you to like dissolve your identity.
Okay.
Yeah.
When what was I gonna say? When you speak of leadership, does that include managing conflicts within? Absolutely, all-around leadership. Yes, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And letting it not spiral out of control or leaving the nest, so to speak, where drama comes out of play. But absolutely,
I think a lot of that is important, June, and that management of conflict. The best way to do that, to deal with internal conflict, is to have leadership that deals with it internally. You know what I mean? Instead of delegating somebody to speak on behalf of the organization to have online battles, you just have a conversation with the people internal to that group and say, hey, what's going on here? You may be misrepresenting us.
Brian Rodriguez, I nominate
Dean Outreach.
That's a very unique. It's a very unique organization, Brian. Very private. Just on PTTA.
All right.
Interview to on Jared's. Obviously you spoke on him. I'm a fan. Just outside looking in. I do it. Again, I already mentioned about the videos. Haven't got a chance to look at them, but I just love the evolution. I love his. The way he goes into different things. I like that aspect of university. I think it's conceptually, I think it's brilliant, neat. I just think he's doing just an outstanding job in what he's doing. And the fact that he's got these many factions under his umbrella, obviously speaks to that. So, he's doing great work.
Good stuff.
Ricketts, I kind of changed the name, Ricketts Martial Arts, but Yeah, well, I guess we'll just deal on the FMA side because he does do a lot of coaching boxing. But yeah, I just think what he's doing, the reason why I chose him is because he's probably the youngest person on this list. I'm almost probably pretty confident as I'm looking back on it that he is. I mean, this is a guy who hasn't even turned 30 yet, and he's basically leading in an organization. And I think he's doing it incredibly well despite his age. I
Mm-hmm.
think that fact, and when you look at him and how he communicates, his charisma, I think he's actually going to be the future. I really do, as far as what you look for as far as an instructor. He doesn't embrace the past. Matter of fact, he actually breaks from it as far as the tension among certain factions. I just think he's just doing an outstanding job for his age. His reputation is stellar. Definitely progressive, evolving. He allows folks like me who are taller to make allotments and defensive movements or in heights and all that. He lets some stuff slide like that, some tolerance, latitude. I just think he's just doing a great job all around. Yeah. So it would be my instructor, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the organization. I don't know anything about it. I know you and Brandon. I like you guys. You guys are stand-up people.
Yeah, he really is. And again,
Yeah.
guy's
So
not even
biased.
30 yet. What he's doing is pretty stellar, in my opinion. Next, Sayak. So, unfortunately, he passed. I want to say a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And this is being too on Chris Sayak. And just again, if you look at what he created, late 90s, early 2000s. He created a worldwide organization. Started out in England, and as far as I think the first country outside the U.S., and it just, exploded. And
Yeah.
just the spreading of the art, throughout the different countries, heavily curriculum based, but very structured curriculum and organized.
Yeah.
He had a good reputation. Some of his people underneath and all that, but again, we already got kind of into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as can we get rid of this criteria part? It's been there.
Yeah, I can drop that. Sure. I think everybody's seen it by now.
Yeah.
Let's drop it.
I think, and speaking frankly, right, and this has nothing to do with the founder, the concepts, and things like that, right? Because I think it's good stuff. But I personally have had some, let's say, less than favorable interactions with members.
So have others, yeah.
Right. And so, I think we can have an honest discussion about that. And again, no disrespect to the founders, to to the members, broad strokingly. But I think, and again, let me sandwich this, right? I've had some very bad dealings with Sayak Kali members online. Okay. Straight up. But let me sandwich that and kind of reframe it by saying I understand why, because I always think like whenever there are passionate, heated disagreements about something, it's ultimately founded and based on a love for something. So when you love something, right? And then there's opposition to that, whether it's founded or not, it's understandable that people will react with emotion. And that's certainly been my case with the Sayaks. Is that they love it so much that any criticism, I don't mean to speak broadly, but I've had specific incidences where I questioned something and the response wasn't great. So, but again, that's broad stroking. That's not all of them. And that says nothing about the founder and the teachings of the organization. But at the end of the day, I got to be honest. Like,
no. I've heard a similar. As far as not only the material beloved, but he was very beloved. The people underneath him. Was just he was absolutely really beloved. Unfortunately, I've heard it, seen it. Yeah. But
Same for the
Mameko-
Serrata community, if I may.
What's
You know,
that?
the Serrata, there's certain Serrata people that are just like, holy chill, bro.
Oh, it's
We're
crazy.
discussing
And
a topic here. I'm not dissing your mama. You know what I mean?
no.
So, but
Particularly one faction is pretty heated. Yeah.
right. So again, I'm just being honest. I'm telling you which systems have had representatives really just like go way out onto left field. And I'm not discounting my potential fault in these interactions, right? Because I can be emotional myself. But yeah, worth noting.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Fair enough. We're just being honest.
Be honest.
No, I'm just going to address this. Lameko, Duran, nobody suggested it, but I was going to speak after this, just because, that art is, I like that art very much. So, yeah, I was going to say a few things on that without really, I probably identify Rogers' sanction, even though nobody mentioned it. Next, this was mentioned a few times. Matter of fact, I think once in yours and a couple times in my post, and that's the Stockton multi-style. So that's you basically got 3 systems within the style. It's June. Matter of fact, I thought he was here. Let me just see if he's still here.
So the Stockton multi-style people, that's an example of people who seem to be really, really passionate about what they do, come from like a hardcore area. I've not had a negative interaction with any of their members.
No. Matter of fact, they had him on a few times. Had June, a few other guys that were with him, and they did well. As a matter of fact, I had a subsequent episode with Chris LaCava and Nelson, and they did well. But now here's what's in. These guys are really trying to spread the art. They travel out to the reps, and as a matter of fact, the one rep. There's a rep in South Carolina, Chris LaCava. Nelson Pinto just moved to Florida. They come out, they go overboard as far as their time and all that. Nothing but good things I've heard from these guys. And I've met them one time. They did come to Connecticut. I was fortunate enough to make it there. This is going back pre-COVID. And really nice, very welcoming. So, and Guru Terry was there, and he was part of the interview. But great guys. They make it for me, So
cool.
Right. Next, that Bobby Tabata guy, Blentalk. I don't know. I mean, I guess he probably makes it, right?
No, absolutely.
He came up a few times, so.
Yeah, GM Bobby. Again, we're speaking organizationally, right? And I speak about marketing and branding. He keeps his top guys in check, keeps them in check, right? And he's very careful about what he represents as Balintawak, right? He's got a vision, and that is the vision. There's no diverging from that vision, nothing, which is good, right? One of the a personal interaction I had with GM Bobby, because at the boudoir, man, we test stuff out, like we bang and smash, and so we were testing out how would Balintawak look full contact. And he's going all out. And then I made a video and I dedicated it to GM Bobby, and then I showed it to him, and our conversation was like, he loves it, he appreciates it, right? But he would prefer for it not to have like the Balintawak tag to it, because it doesn't necessarily conform to the vision that he has for what it ought to be. And at first I was like, oh man, inside, this is all inside. But then I was like,
outside you're smiling.
But then I was like, you know what? I can respect that. 100%. I can respect that.
He was honest with you. I mean, right.
100%. And if you ask any of GM Bobby's level 7 guys, and if I sat them all down and I asked them one question, which is, what is GM Bobby's primary objective here on Earth? It is likely that they will all answer unanimously to spread the art of Balintawak.
Oh yeah. And
to honor his promises to his grandmasters, and that is an unwavering dedication to a vision. And even at times when it may not necessarily reflect my intentions, it's got my respect for sure.
I mean, if you look at like who's the head, who's the head leading figure you see social media leading and just, dynamic energy. I mean, it's Jim Bobby.
Yeah, and he's such a kind human being. Like even when Jim Bobby's being attacked, like there was some drama happening within the Balintawak community when some
I remember that
crap about and then Jim Bobby's response was just like, my God, this guy should be like an ambassador for the United Nations, man. Like he was just classy, calm, and cool.
Yeah.
And I like that. I really like that about the Tabuada Balintawak community. And you know what? His people really care for him. They love him, and they have his best intentions at the forefront when it comes to their organization. And that doesn't happen frequently. And that is, again, we're talking about love, right? His FUIs love him. Yeah. And that is that is the reciprocal nature of love and respect within the Tabuada community. So
I no argument here. I just I met him once in North Carolina. It was incredible. Seems like a wonderful guy. All the above. Next is Worldwide Arnis Alliance, and this is Tim Hartman's, and this came up a few times, folks. I think it came up in yours. I went down briefly through your list, and it definitely
somebody wrote it
in mine. And Tim Hartman, in my opinion, makes it for a few reasons. One, he has definitely been progressive in Marinese. The way he approaches it, he puts a sparring aspect to it. One, he's doing kids. Two, he's
you gotta stop
saying world modern. Sorry, Jesus, what I put worldwide. Oh my gosh. But he's just doing a great job. I mean, he's an ambassador in FMA. He's got the talk show, FMA Talk. He's spreading the art. He also brings up a very important topic on, how we need to produce. In his case, he referenced black belts because they have a belt system. Yeah. How we need to produce black belts to continue to spread the art. I think that's an important topic in regards of anything, whether you use belts or not. I mean, if we don't get the youth and all that, how we're going to get these arts? I mean,
he gets a lot of flack for it. People even like, Tijuana Apollo, people who just have a good business sense and know how to run a well-oiled organization. For some reason, sometimes they're vilified. I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous. We should be going to these people to learn from them.
Vilified. I could tell you that. So, unfortunately, but I guess if you're doing something good and
hey, man,
people are going to say stuff. You know what I mean? I can tell you that from firsthand. So,
not me. I'm universally loved, so I don't know what that's about.
But anyway, you don't deal with any of that.
What are you gonna say?
Somebody brought up LeMayco, and that was Duran. So I kind of got a side note on here, and I was kind of sad, to be honest, that nobody brought up LeMayco and those.
Are there any factions of LeMayco that we know about?
Yeah, I mean Rogers. Steve. Yeah. I mean, I think Rogers doing a great job in promoting LeMayco.
Yeah.
He's definitely, there's an aspect of progressiveness as far as what he's incorporated or his lens on it from what he was given.
Yeah.
His reps, I think are great. I trained with one of them because I want to see LeMayco grow. I hate to see it die out. So one of his reps is Stephanie Lee, very nice female, great teacher. So she does a great job, and she's obviously under Roger. So not for me.
I have a thought about this. Let me, if I may express this thought. So LeMayco is, largo, medio, and corto, which is a synthesis of several different arts brought together by one person, right?
Correct.
That philosophy will never die.
Yeah.
That philosophy will never die. And so maybe a part of the LeMayco ethos is that it's like JKD, you know, it's
I mean, it's
formless.
totally JKD.
It's
totally.
like formless, so it doesn't need to be called LeMayco for the spirit of LeMayco. Honestly, I've maybe taken two LeMayco classes, one from Professor Leonard Trigg and one from Roger. But I feel like I embody the philosophy of LeMayco in that I integrate and I put a lens into each one of these ranges and find out how they blend, where one ends, where one begins, and the bridges in between them. So the LeMayco spirit will never die. It's a constant spirit of what FMA ought to be. So even if you don't name it, right, LeMayco, the spirit of it lives on forever, you know. So
I just would just like to see the actual curriculum and art. You know,
I get it.
You know what I
I
mean?
understand.
It's just one of those, it's just not being like, there's David Gould in Mississippi. He's got a few students. You got Roger.
Right.
Unfortunately, Felix passed.
Yeah.
A lot of the backyard guys kind of went their own way and did different things, like Mark Denny, for instance, Steve Brody. You know,
I get it, man. But as long as they continue to carry a little bit of it.
No, I hope they do.
The name remains. Like,
I hope they do.
Awesome.
I hope it. Yeah. So I'm trying to do my part and whatever I can to make sure that keeps going. But you're totally right about PJ Edgar. I mean, like when I got Mark Wiley's book in the late '90s there, and this is when I was heavily into JKD, and I'm looking at, and the first thing came to my mind, I'm reading Edgar. I'm like, wow, this guy's like the JKD of FMA. He took all these different major systems, subsystems, and all that. And it was so interesting. You know?
Yeah. His DVD is incredible. I forgot who gave it to me. I think it was maybe Guru Greg Nelson who gave me. Killer, man. Killer.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Evolution. Yeah, Raymond Flores said it well. LeMayco, had
a defining evolution.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Unfortunately, folks, I had some names. I was definitely some organizations that I had on a mini list, but I really went this time on basically folks' input from the post I made in FMA discussion. I was kind of hoping more would have came in, but really that's kind of the list I have thus far. So, and I'm looking through the comments. Didn't really see anybody mention anybody else. So I'm going to turn over to Paulo and let him go through his.
I posted on my personal Facebook page and I got a buttload of responses, because I think partly because I framed it a particular way. I wrote on my Facebook page, write down some good FMA organizations for me to mention in a podcast. You can and should be biased. So my list, my list is 1,000% biased. It's also incomplete because I really didn't put that much, thought into it. I'm an improv guy, but I want to, for the people who commented, I just want to go through the list of comments, right? Sure. So we have Abanico Tres Puntas, we have the Inosanto and Vunak lineages, we have WMAA on there. Of course, we have Dog Brothers. Somebody wrote V Arnis Jitsu, which is
Professor V. Okay.
Yeah, Professor V. What's his first name? Florendo. We have MBC here noted. We have Tuhan Nick Papadakis's group in North Hollywood. We have Lonely's Den, Guru Benjamin Rittner, the Kali Collective in Long Beach, the Lantaya Martial Arts Organization, World Modern Arnis Alliance. I just wanted to mention.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The one you mentioned before, what was the one in Long Beach? I'm sorry.
Lantaya Martial Arts Organization.
What's that? I'm just curious.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm just noting them because, again, this list is going to be biased. So the fact that somebody put Lantaya Martial Arts Organization in Southern California, it's biased to that person. We're never going to, again, I want to mention that, Dean, I commend you for trying to be, objective, right? But the biases are inescapable, right?
Oh no,
And
I
so
agree.
I
I try to
right,
be. Yeah.
I know. Let's see, PTI. Here we go. The Coaching Kali Network, Fight Dad. I agree with that. Bara Sugbo. Mata sa Baguio with GM Carlito Bonjok. Mata sa Baguio, I think is Mata na Baguio, which means Eye of the Hurricane. I love GM Carlito
Oh,
Bonjok.
I mean, how could you
Yeah,
not like
he's
him, right? Another guy,
such
right?
a funny guy too. Jeez.
Yeah.
We have Nickel Stick, Balintawak, Eskrima.
Okay, so
Nickel
Nick
Stick,
Elzar. Okay.
Nick Elzar. Yeah. I'm not going to mention the names that I have on my list here, so I'm just going to. Yeah, Mandirigmang Kaliradman. That's a derivative of the Lightning Scientific.
Who's
Stark.
is that? Greg?
What's that?
Is that?
MK, the MK group. That's the Del Rosario and
Oh,
Ryan
Del
Yeah.
Rosario, and you got Ryan Cordero. Okay.
We have Star Kali noted. By the way, Star Kali Founders Organization, if you wouldn't mind listing your source material on the website, that would be great. I'd like to know who it was influenced by, because I did research on it one time. I couldn't find it. So then there's Kali Majapahit. There's the Biagtan Cincoteros under Maestro Ray Biagtan. I like Maestro Ray. That guy's a bad man.
I don't know if I'm familiar with him. What's the last name
Yeah,
again?
Biagtan, Biagtan.
No.
Yeah, I had a conversation with this guy. He's a bad mother effer.
Interesting. I just never. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Dikiti Tersha. Magda Institute of Martial Arts. I'm guessing that's Cass Magda's group, right? Worth noting. I'm not gonna note anyone that's on my list or what's already been mentioned. IMAF. I don't know what that is. IMAF.
IMF. Wait.
IMAF.
I don't know.
It stands for I'm up F. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shin Kali, definitely, I would agree with that. Shin Kali under Sensei or Agalon.
Oh, I got another. Oh man, I can't
Ian
believe I got this
Floresca.
one.
What you got?
Tuan Apollo.
What?
iKali.
Yeah, iKali. Yeah,
okay.
1000%.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be mentioned.
That's on my list. Don't worry, I got you, bro.
Oh, good.
There's Alpha Doce Pares is there. World Modernist Alliance. PTK Worldwide. Which one's that? PTK Worldwide. Anyway. Oh, here's one that Guru Ron Baliki's group, Mars, Martial Arts Research Systems.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a pretty good group of dudes. Combatives Unlimited under Guru Juan Perez. Shout out.
Juan Perez in Florida under Burton. Okay.
Not sure. And then there's CKJKD. Chris Kent Jeet Kune Do.
Chris Kent. Okay.
Okay. So again, I noted all of you guys as promised.
Oh, you know what? I think June's right. I think that is Mel Tortal.
PTK Worldwide?
I think so. Yeah.
I think Tuhan Ramels is PTK World Federation.
So who's worldwide?
PTKWF.
But anyway, Mel Tortal's organization should be in here. Yeah. Somebody just mentioned it, unfortunately. Well, that's with you, but
yeah. So again, my list is incomplete. There's going to be names on the organizations on here that are like, who the hell are those guys? And then there's going to be organizations on here that are like, huh? And then there's going to be people who are like, oh, how come you didn't mention me? It's because I didn't take the time to make this list. I literally wrote this 20 minutes before this podcast. There's a lot of people super biased, you guys. Super biased. Okay.
Well, but that's what compliments as well. I went the objective lane, try to make, you tried. Like, what if we did both the same? It would be kind of boring, right? I mean,
it would be kind of boring.
Yeah. So,
by the way, I don't think your lane was objective at all. You tried, but I mean,
I tried. There was some objectivity in there, though, from the people.
There was, yes. Yeah. That's what I mean. You tried,
but there was subjectivity as well. Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
You got to spread love, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I have. I have the PTK Katipunan group, which is led by Guru Mick Alcaraz. This is going to be Pikiti Tersha heavy. Sorry.
He's located in the Philippines, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, he is. And he's highly involved with various branches of the armed forces in the Philippines. Katipunan group. I went to a bunch of their meetings. There is a solid brotherhood happening there and sisterhood. They all support each other in a very kind of like Mason kind of way. It's like secret, where it's more about the management and camaraderie internally in a closed group than it is forward facing, which I loved. Right, so that's awesome.
Interesting.
Obviously,
do they have contact with Leo Gahe or no?
Yes.
Oh,
so Guru Mick has been under the Grand Tuhon for a long time. There's some stuff in there that's not up to me to divulge, but
yeah.
Yes,
No, I was just overall.
absolutely.
I just wondering if there was dialogue between the two. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right. So I have Katipunan in there. I have PTTA and PTI. We already spoke about.
Yeah.
And then two right here, two big ones right here that you guys may not know about, and that is Sabong Kali and Blackbird Training Group.
Sabong Kali, that's Fernando, right? Or Justin?
Yeah, that's Guru Justin's group here in Mississauga, the
he's
Toronto
coming on
area.
Show, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a good show.
I don't. You don't think I bring him on? Yeah.
But Guru Justin's group, we call him Sparnando for a reason. This guy spars more than a lot of. I mean, there's like three people I know who like spar the most, and that's Justin, Patricio, Fernando, Lamont Glass, and Jason Jones. You know what I mean? These guys are just high frequency. They'll spar anytime, anywhere, under any whatever you want. They'll do it, and that's rare. So Sabong Kali, that's under that's an affiliate of the Pikiti Tersha Tactical Association, also under the Combat Arts banner, right here where I live. These guys, and they're associated also with Tuhon Phillips organization, Gamma. There's several dog brothers that go in and out of that group. It's a hardcore group. They welcome African and European historical martial artists. They spar. They just it's like awesome. It's insane. Like it's amazing.
Looked like his event went really well.
It's awesome. So under that same token, I want to mention Zama, the Zerger Academy of Mixed Martial Arts, with their throwdowns, spar heavy, man. And I love these guys because they just go at it, but they do it in a way that if you go there, you'll be like, oh, it's not so bad, right? On camera, it's like, holy crap, they're all murderers. You go there, you go, oh, it's not so bad. And what I mean by that is it's a very welcoming group, right? The people there, despite their experiences, are willing to throw down with like lesser skilled individuals to help them usher into progressive levels of growth. I think that's super important. Blackbird Training Group, a little bit different. They're pretty hardcore. Like Lamont Glass is I believe Lamont is a dog brother. I never know whether to call somebody like a full dog brother, a candidate, a named. I can't tell the difference, but Lamont is like a dog brother, and he definitely brings that sensibility to the Blackbird Training Group. That's another affiliate of the PTTA.
Okay.
I don't know if affiliated or associated
is Northwest, whatever. Right? Northwest up there?
Yeah, he's in the Pacific Northwest, man. Yeah. Like that Washington
or something,
Oregon area. Yeah. So those three I hold in high regard. Sabong Kali, Blackbird Training Group, Zama. There's WCAF and PCAF, right? They're big and they're organized, right?
They're big and organized, and like we covered this
and diverse, right? Huge. We got the dog brothers. Here's another one, Taring Tactical Kali in Indonesia.
Who's this?
So it's a Filipino martial arts group in Indonesia,
Okay.
which is like, Silat territory.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
for sure.
they do Silat, but this group of Indonesians, Towering Tactical, TARING TAKTIKAL, Towering Tactical. Probably never heard of them.
No,
Go
I've
look
not.
them up. These dudes train armed forces in Indonesia, Filipino martial arts, and they spar a lot. One
Who
of the
runs
first
it?
guys, this guy named Adinur Bunit
Yeah, I've never heard
Addy,
of these. So
Guru Addy Budiono. Bad mother effers, Towering Tactical Kali. See, you guys never heard of that. It's biased because I know they spar a lot. They're great. They are murderers. I had Tabuada Balintawak on my list. I had the Dog Brothers on my list. I have RRK, Rapido Realismo Kali, under Isagani Abon and Master Henry Espera. Are you frozen, Dean? Or are you enthralled? Looks like Dean's frozen. Yo, is Dean frozen where you guys are at? Dean's frozen where I'm at.
I'm frozen where you're at because I'm
Oh,
definitely.
there we go. Oh, I can hear you now, but you're still frozen. And you have in Tagalog what we call simangot face. Okay, I think you're coming back.
What the heck happened?
Yeah, see, yeah, you're frozen. I'm not frozen. Dean was frozen.
I
Now
just
Dean's
got
back.
kicked out when I got back in. I'm not sure what's
Okay.
going on here.
Yeah.
My internet is supposedly fine.
Yeah, you had that simangot face.
All right. I'm still frozen to you.
No, you're good. You're good, bro.
There was definitely a
You're
glitch because it like completely stopped. But I mean, luckily
It was
it
the
didn't
Russians.
stop the broadcast. Thank God.
No, I think you guys could still hear me during this whole thing, right? And it was just Dean that was frozen.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
can we confirm that? Because
That was extremely bizarre what just happened there, huh?
the Russians, bro. It was the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was talking about Towering Tactical, and then I moved on to RRK, Master Henry Spera.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Those guys are awesome, and I see them consistently training and posting their stuff on social media. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. His rep there.
Okay, we're good now. What was the last thing that I said before we froze?
You started to introduce RRK.
Okay. This is coffee. This is the Tim Horton every Christmas. Sorry, Guru June asked. Okay. All right. So RK is in there.
Yeah.
And then, the Larao Kali Pamuok by Royce Base.
Oh, in the Philippines. Yes. Located in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah. Larao Kali Pamuok.
Yep.
I love them because their branding's good. They all dress in black. They train consistently together. And
I had him on a show
Guru,
some time back. I mean, he did a big demo. It was Anasano blend stuff that was unpacked under Duma, Filipino.
Wait a minute. No. You're thinking about a different Royce. You're thinking about Royce Ramos.
No.
I'm talking about Ronnie Royce. Ronnie Royce Base.
Yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Ace of Base.
I had them both on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We all look the same. Anyway, yeah. All Filipinos look the same. Chris could sit right here and then you guys wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Like, which one is? Yeah.
But also, Guru Ronnie has some of the best FMA posters for events ever. I don't know who his graphic designer is. Amazing posters. Yeah, and that's again, we're going. I have different criteria. You guys chill out.
Yeah, no. We had him on. He did a matter of fact. This is going back. I want to say perhaps close to 2 years ago. But he did well. Did a great demos on a bunch of stuff. Got some flack from people, but I thought he presented well. Kind of stuck up for him.
I feel like he can box, just the way he moves. I feel like there's a big box influence. Again, it's not like I know the system or like I
Mm.
train in it, but I'm just like my optics are out there. So I added them. I'm like, they have the best posters ever. They dress the same. They're constantly posting.
Yeah,
There's
it's
gonna be people who look at them like, meh, but like, look, this is messaging. This is spreading Filipino martial arts. People could watch one of his videos, and then your system might be the one that's geographically close, and then you end up being the
mm.
system that they take, right? All of this like competition sometimes it don't exist, you guys. Like, you know how many inquiries I got on my Instagram alone about, oh, I live in Mobile, Alabama. Who's the nearest guy? I don't pick up Bikini guy. I ask them like, okay, what do you want to learn? And then I find you somebody who's appropriate.
Mobile
Spread the
Alabama.
love. Yeah, Mobile, Alabama. I actually have a cop friend there. His name is Dewberry. Dewberry, Officer Dewberry. But yo, this is a bad place. Like Mobile, Alabama, man. Those trailer parks can get hairy, bro. Imagine
Yeah,
thing, right?
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, obviously we got Inosanto in there. I also have Abanico Tres Puntas in there. I have FCS Kali in there. We already talked
Mm.
about that. I have I Kali in there, and then Mabag Sik, which is Tuhon Bobbies, which is I'm not sure if it's I Kali also. And he's got his own group, and they're doing like Kamayans. They're training in the park. Just really really cool stuff. I have NSI,
Who's
Natural
okay? Who's
Spirit
that?
International. So NSI is Datu Kelly Warden.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he's also got like a Renegade Kali, but Natural Spirit
Mm.
International. It's just about natural movement, cultivating your spirit, bringing it all together, all that stuff. Good stuff. I like iKali for structure. I like NSI for consistency and quality. FCS Kali for the group dynamics. Abanico Tres
Mm.
Puntas for their work with the youth.
Yeah,
Inasanto because
fantastic.
that's literally what I wrote. It's just like
No,
Inasanto
yeah,
uh, because like I
yeah.
don't need
I
to
know.
write
Just
down why, right?
do you need to even go right? Like we said, do we need to
Yeah.
go further? Mm.
Laral Kali for their dope posters, RRK for their consistent posting, and
Mm.
Balintawak because it's friggin' huge. Tiring Tactical, they spar a lot. Dog Brothers because WeCaf PCAP because organization and size.
Mm.
Blackbird, Zama, Sabong because they're spar heavy. PTI because of their organization. PTTA because of their growth and their size. And Katipunan because of their close knit community. Obviously, I wrote one-liners, one words, but one words. I wrote one words, but you know, they
No.
many of this is an injustice to describe these groups by this one word, but this was just like the point forms that I was taking. It's what stood out. So yeah, that's
Yeah, we
it.
have some parallel. I mean, as far as
Mhm.
commonality on our list, and why some
Yeah.
folks suggested some stuff, and we have some
Mhm.
that we're not sure what they are, but hopefully maybe folks will see
Yeah, and
this
there's
afterwards
lots.
and maybe. Um,
So many groups. Like there's got to be groups in France and Germany and in the UK
oh,
that we
UK.
didn't
I mean,
mention.
right?
There's
Yeah.
so many in the United States and some in Canada, right? But some are affiliated or associated. It would be kind of redundant to
Oh, they're
really.
very just small and not unknown.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're going to talk about those small groups, right? Like for me, size does matter, but that shouldn't take away from the value of small groups.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Small groups are great. Like
No.
the boudoir is a small group, which, by the way, I should have written down the boudoir.
Yeah, I like.
but
I personally, I like being part of small groups. I like this interaction where I can directly
Mhm.
talk to or speak to who heads the organization. I like the, as I mentioned early in the broadcast, I like the accountability. I
Yeah,
prefer, like, if it gets too big for me, I think I get overwhelmed. And it's just a personal thing. I'm not saying anything wrong with big groups. I
sure.
think they're fantastic, but I could see myself getting lost in the shuffle with a very big group.
Well, yes, yeah, that can happen. But when a group is big but done right,
Mm.
what you have are examples that you might find in FCS Kali and the PTTA and Tabuada Balintawak, where there are you still have your small group dynamics in your little geographical region. It's just that you have, you know, a home to come home to during Christmas, and that's like the GM Bobby World Camp, or like like the Kentucky gathering for FCS.
That would be so overstimulating for me. Like,
right.
I think I got sensory disorder. I would be watching
so,
that. I would just be like just the input, like would just be, you know,
right.
I think
so. There's benefit to a small group, right? But if you're just a small group, then you don't get to, like, the gene pool isn't as big, and you don't have you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas to come home to. Whereas a big organization who are really comprised of small factions all over the place can kind of have the best of both worlds. Not always the case, because you're right. Like, when an organization does get too big, a problem is ranking. Ranking becomes a problem, man, because people get overlooked all the time when an organization is too big. Yeah, because it's still only up to the figurehead sometimes to be able to delegate, or there aren't enough senior instructors who have ranking rights. Right. So that's kind of, I mean, I don't care, even though kind of a big deal. I'm a Lakan guru now.
I mean, so I don't think I need to say anymore.
I mean, I'm a Lakan guru, so I don't have that problem anymore. No. Yeah. I mean, you know, that Lakan guru, by the way, I don't care. I love it as a recognition for my peers, people I respect. That's all it is. It doesn't mean I'm any good, you know.
The thing is, like, in the beginning, you get it. Like, when I was younger, I was like, oh man, I got this, and of course, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? You get your first ranking, and it should be. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be devalued. You know. Now I'm just like, it's like the least of my concern now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm older now. I know what I want. I don't need a paper attached to it. You know, I'm vested in particular areas. You know.
Agreed. For me, it really felt like just a recognition of value.
Yeah.
And I don't even care what that value is. It was just nice. It was really nice.
Absolutely. The way he did it, I saw it. Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
somebody said, when I'm coming to the boudoir, and I guess my first question would be, do you have to be vaccinated to go into Canada now?
No, I don't think so. I think you need to get your PCR test 24 hours before a land
border
crossing.
So I get a test, and long as obviously I don't get
Yeah, and they're like $20 now or something like that. They're really cheap, unless you get at the airport, which is $60, which is
so 24 hours beforehand. Show proof, and then
Yeah, you should come down. I think you would like it.
I would
we recently had Sifu Kevin Seaman down here. We had Sifu Kevin Seaman down here.
Yeah.
He's a bad man. He knows a lot of FMA.
Oh, if you're one of those early, like you mentioned, though, if you're one of those early Asano guys, what you got exposed to. I mean, those when all the guys were still living. When they were coming in and out. The traffic in the academy back then was, you know what I mean?
Hey, Uwe Kramer wrote Bagong Katipunan, Germany. Never heard of them.
Who's that?
Bagong, which means
new.
Netherlands. Not to be confused with bagoong, which means shrimp paste.
What's
I don't know SSBD? Oh, SSBD, Mal Morney's group.
Okay. Does he do FMA, or is he primarily CLOT?
CLOT. But I mean, again.
Yeah, not that it matters. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Some of his best friends are Filipino, so.
Yeah. By the way,
I don't know what I don't know what those signs mean, greater than and less than. I never figured out which one was which. What's the score? Germany.
Oh, by the way. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So that's right. Soccer.
Anyway, Dean, how'd you feel this conversation went, man?
I thought it went very well. I thought we basically highlighted based on folks' input. We had some commonality as far as names mentioned and who we thought should be on there. And to no surprise, some of the folks that were in the top 100 were mentioned here by
Yeah.
virtue of the organization, which makes complete sense. I thought it went really well. Yeah.
I thought so too. I think we also covered a lot of important topics when it came to selecting this, like the differences, pros and cons of small group versus big group, addressing the fact that if you have a small group that wasn't mentioned, doesn't diminish any of its value. I think we did pretty good.
I think so.
We will get no complaints about this podcast whatsoever. There will be zero complaints. Nobody will get mad at what we talked about.
Why didn't you talk about my master's organization? What about Doug Marquez? So what's Doug Marquez's group? I wasn't familiar he had a group.
Well, okay. I'm speaking frankly about that, right? Doug Marquez is one of the biggest Filipino martial artists in the world. What do you hear about his group?
I don't hear anything.
Exactly. I know because of my previous associations, there's some stellar guys in there. You know what I mean? Anthony Palmer, Chris Mans. There's some amazing guys in there, but kind of overshadowed by the figurehead. So that's a great point.
Are they active? I mean, do they meet in a common place? Are they kind of spread out or what?
Well, look, again, this is kind of an important conversation to have, and I'm willing to have it, right? One of the most well-known Filipino martial artists in the world, and y'all don't know any of his senior instructors. I think that's a problem. You know, like it kind of says something, right? And again, the guys that he actually has in that group, the two that I mentioned are extraordinary. They're extraordinary. Have you heard of them?
No, man. And what I'm trying to recall is I had him on, but this is some time ago, and he did very well.
Yeah.
However, I don't recall, and he could have mentioned it, and I just don't remember that he actually had a group and there were active members. The only thing I do recall is that he doesn't teach anymore, but he has his guys teach. I think it was kind of centered around that, but I don't remember.
Jesse Landis is another one. Sorry. Yeah. Jesse Landis, Chris Mans, Anthony Palmer. Extraordinary Filipino martial artists.
Kind of spread
They're
out.
Marcaida Kali, like day one Marcaida Kali guys out of Rochester. So
are they generally in that area? Or are they spread out in America?
Yeah, Rochester,
Maryland. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they have representatives in Maryland. I think there's like twin Asian guys. I met them one time.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I
deserve more recognition and credit. You know.
I was gonna say I would have. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's the point. But all love, man. You know what I mean? I just think it's a good sign when you know instructors outside of the figure.
Yeah, like in other words, like you look at PTI, obviously you know Danny Terrell and you know Jack Latour. It's not a secret. You know what I mean?
Wesley Tasker.
Yeah.
Another.
Yeah, right. Or Scott Falk. I mean, it's no secret.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if Wesley. I think it's Mataas na Guru. But even still, doesn't matter. Like you know them.
Yeah. But when it comes to that, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to name one person under him.
Right. Exactly. So
that's too bad. I'm sure they're talented.
Yeah. So I mean, we're talking about factions, right? Like we're talking about groups. We're talking about the state organizations. I'm glad we were able to have pockets of maybe uncomfortable truths also in this podcast. I hope you guys appreciate that. And even if it doesn't necessarily apply to you, something to be cognizant and mindful of, as Filipino martial arts continues on this path to growing, right? How you manage that growth really, really matters. And for all of you figureheads out there, take care of your senior instructors. I wrote this whole thing about it the other day. Cultivate their growth, invest in their potential, show them off to the world, because a system that is based on a pillar or a foundation of one is sure to crumble. Build up your senior students.
They're the ones that are going to keep it going. I mean,
hell yeah.
So if you're not giving them the light,
exactly.
True. Then what about Fred Mastro's group? Not familiar with Fred Mastro, other than Fred Mastro himself.
Yeah. That's how I know a bunch, right? But that's because I have. But I'd rather not. It's not really an FMA group
But
anyway.
is he kind of more? I thought he was more Ceylon. Am I
Yeah.
mistaken?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I know of him, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I thought it went great, and again,
Yeah.
thank you so much for jumping in on this. I think if folks are going to be negative, they're just going to be negative. But I thought it was well presented. I mean, the comments.
Yeah.
There was nothing negative as far as the comments coming in. I think again, the whole aspect of this and importance of this is that folks that we're able to have a dialogue, conversation, and that
Yeah.
if somebody's looking to join or seek out a different organization or style, this could be a nice reference for them.
Exactly. Maybe it's some people will view this podcast as a validation, as a celebration. Other people might see it as some kind of a condemnation or a criticism. But this is all just FMA discussion.
That's
so you know what I mean? There's some uncomfortable truth dished out, but at the end of the day, I think we're headed towards a positive direction. Yeah. Sometimes I got to be the front line of this criticism, and I'm okay. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and
for saying some
if
of
I
these
receive,
things.
again, but I think again, anybody that's looking at this for what it is, I think they're going to be hard pressed to, be critical.
Yeah. Plus, also, there's bigger things in life.
Yeah, they're really, ticket size, gray pants movements, gray sweatpants, not just gray pants. So I would ask you to correct that.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you for being ambassadors of the Filipino martial arts. Thanks for supporting FMA discussion and what the Brad Pitt of FMA does here day in and day out. We really appreciate you, Dean.
I do not.
Thank you.
I go straight, not like this.
Yeah. And I think you've had me on too many times. I'm sure some people are sick of it. Go find someone else. But I love it, man. Anytime you ask me, I'm going to say yes.
Oh my God! The reason being is the whole thing is what bring on because there's two different personalities and aspects bringing two different kind of lenses. That's the whole and that's why it goes so well because if we are both so similar. I mean, it would be kind of boring. So I think it's a nice compliment to one another. And that's why I think people enjoy it.
I think so. I think so. And you've made me laugh twice now, Dean. That's amazing.
Is that rare? Like that you get somebody to make you.
It's rare.
It's really hard to make laugh.
No, I think when I laugh, it's it's genuine.
Oh, it's just
although yeah, so it's rare. So it's like being praised by your grandfather, like you did something good when Grandpa was like, "Atta boy."
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I do dish out laugh emojis quite liberally. My actual laughter.
Yes.
It's rare.
I just can't stop looking at GM Poe's videos. They're just so funny. I just can't. They're just so funny.
That guy.
Please, Dean, do not wear the jogging pants anymore. It's distracting.
Yeah. See ya, Guru June. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Let's get out of here.
Don't trust. I mean, trust me. I'll find out more themes to talk about and all that. I'm never short on that. So.
Yeah. You're long on many things.
Many things. This is so speaking different sizes of different things. Oh my God. Getting punchy. Oh Lord.
We are talking about factions.
Factions. So this is what I mean. I'm gonna guess your uncle at some point is going to watch this, and I'm wondering if he's going to be upset by it because he was kind of upset with me on the first one.
Yeah, he was. Did you see that post? Top 100 FMA, blah, blah, blah.
I did. Matter of fact, I shared it in the FMA discussion. He's going on. And you have a grown men like Dean Franco and Paulo talk about touching other people's sticks.
Yeah. I mean, he makes a good point. You spend a lot of time thinking about grown men who have that
want to touch other people's sticks. And
yeah.
Can't argue that.
What a guy.
Here's some suggestions. Up and coming FMA practitioners, future of FMA. Yeah. What about a sister show? FMA Disagreements. That'd be a week show.
Oh, well, I got my FMA Dumpster Fire podcast. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
FMA
no, but
Disagreements.
it's getting
Wow.
positive.
Okay, the Cabals community.
Oh,
PTTA community.
oh my god.
There's a week
Yeah.
right there.
Oh my god. Yeah. Just talking about the Serrata and the
I do like
PTK
judges
and the
though.
modernist infighting.
Up
You
and
like what?
coming FMA practitioners or future of FMA. At the future of FMA, I think that's something worth speaking on. I do.
Yeah, it's Daniel Bernas and Brandon Ricketts.
And as far as PH, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. But yeah. Let me really me. You'll be back on. I'm beginning really
Yeah.
creative lately with ideas for stuff, and
Okay.
and by all means, if you come up with something that you think would be absolutely beneficial for folks to hear and discuss, let me know.
Anytime I want to do a podcast, it's usually on the fly. You're the only one that you really like. Oh my god, I got a podcast in
I know
3
you're
days.
so good at that. Like
I just wake up and I'm like, oh, something's on my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna talk.
I can totally see how you won that contest. I was talking to my wife, and I'm going like, he could just off the fly just come up with this stuff. Where I'm like, have sleepless night. Okay, did I make sure I get this in? Did I make sure he was included? Am I being fair? Am I being objective? I'm trying to and this stuff keep me no exaggeration. And you just go with this like, I wish I had that dynamic, dude. But it totally makes sense why you won that contest. It totally does.
It's the National Canadian Improv Games. It's not a contest. You make it sound like it's like a county fair, biggest pumpkin award.
I won.
I mean, how many national champs do you know in anything? No, but honestly, Dean, here's the thing. I wish I had those qualities where I would actually be a little bit more thoughtful and prepared and methodical and calculated. So I think we make a good 1-2 punch.
Oh no, 100%. And that's been said and noted so many times. You guys are so good together. Do more shows. Well, folks, you're gonna get more shows. Yeah. So let's follow.
All right.
Hello, that's my wife. Hello. See, now I'm a bad mouther because I can. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife makes fun of me every time I go on your show.
Really?
You're talking to Dean again, huh? Your boyfriend?
He says the same thing.
The guy with the jogging pants?
She says the same thing about you. Are you talking to Paolo again? You give him more attention.
Yeah.
I am taking him to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's not till 5:30.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now my wife's about to finish work. It's almost 5:00 here. So.
But always a pleasure. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
And
one day we should just we'll just get divorces and move in with each other, bro. We'll just have a bro house. Just joking. Chill out. Anyway.
I like.
All right, Tracy.
See, she does like you. She does like you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Dean Bronco. Thanks for your time, bro. I appreciate it. This was fun. Can you believe this? This has been 2 hours. My God.
Yeah, but a fun 2 hours. So hey.
Yeah, it flew by. All right, I'm out of here, man.
All right, you take care.
Thanks, broski. Peace.
All right, bye. And that wraps up episode 351. Who is next? I think this weekend, I'm going to confirm it, but Portugal stick fighting. Luis Prado. That should be interesting, huh? We're going to talk to him and see what he's got to show and speak on. But yeah, Portugal stick fighting. And then we get into December, which I have to create that list pretty soon. But folks, seriously, Christmas raffle. It goes to, we're going to be giving to children in need and all that. $10 a ticket. And look at some of the prizes. Bram Frank just sent out his knives he's donating. Mark Denny donated DVDs from the Dog Brothers. Again, going for a really good cause. Kids in need. Times are tough, man. Inflation. So if you could help out with that, again, we really appreciate it. It all goes to charity. And the post is pinned in FMA discussion, so you'll see it there. But we would much appreciate it. But again, I thank all you guys for jumping in and watching, commenting. I thought it went well, and those you didn't get to see it, hopefully you'll watch it on the YouTube channel. All right, then. I'm being summoned to be a taxi. So, Eric O'Brien, I'll be seeing you in February. Make sure you have that cot ready. All right, folks. Take care. And have a happy Thanksgiving.